What's going on, everybody? Toby Wayne back with you once again to work on this Death Rattle sculpture. 1/1 scale. I think the size of this is 18 inches tall, I want to say. But yeah, I'm just shooting these videos back to back to feed ourselves a good portion of videos for the week or whatnot, or however I decide to punch those out there. So hope everybody's enjoying these little tiny videos. So I know I am. It's good to get back into making these videos on these big guys here. I don't think this is actually one of the I did do some time-lapse work of this guy here about 6-8 months ago, something like that. I did a video and a time lapse, and the views seemed to show that the people liked it. So I figured I would just jump in here and talk with everybody as I'm working on it. So hope y'all are enjoying this. Hope everybody had a good day today. I did. And of course, anytime I get to get out here and sculpt in the studio is a good day. Gotta be doing what you love to do, you know what I mean? So been trying to think of some good color combos, good color paint schemes for this guy. I like those dark and gritty colors, you know, with zombies. I like that. I like the black goo. That's kind of been one of my trademarks that I've always kind of incorporated into my pieces. Is they always kind of tend to have some sort of a black goo or gunk running down, and this one will be no exception. I'll be doing the exact same thing on this, just on a larger scale. So I do like the idea of doing a like a neon toxic goo slime coming out of him. So that'll be a fun paint up. So now I'm just kind of, again, just working my way around. I just kind of do a whole 360 kind of thing, and just spot little areas that don't jive with me. So I'm trying to get these finessed and fine-tuned and tweaked. Guess I should probably start my timer. What do you think? That's what happens. I get distracted by the sculpt and I don't set my timer, and then the next thing I know, an hour and a half has gone by. So glad I caught that, huh? That is the last thing I want to do, is bore someone to tears. So Toby, you got the personality of a wet match. Oh well. I'm liking these textures here of the muscle structures, and if you can see this little torn area here, I really like that. It's just got some good textures going on in there. Good rotty, fleshy meat torn away from the bone type of goodness. If that makes sense. I should write jingles for KFC or something. I don't know what I'm doing, but yeah, it's just a lot of good texture going on in there. And of course, I achieved that by taking a rock, of course, and I showed you in a couple videos back, I think, texturing. And if not, I'll have to look through my archives here and look to see if I made that video. But to just do a video on just how I make textures in my sculpts, everything from shirts to rocks being pressed in, because rocks have a very natural, organic look. When you press them in and roll them, you can get different techniques or different textures with the techniques of how you apply the rock into the clay. And if the clay is hot, you know, warm clay will give you a different texture than a cold clay. Shirts are kind of fun. because you just soften it up and then press your shirt in and just roll it in. I could do that on this one, but then I'd have to sculpt the collar, and I just like the idea of the real shirt being put on it. I just like that idea, so that's what I'm going to stick with. So, but on my smaller sculpts, I will sculpt the shirts in and press it in with the textures. So these ears, if you'll notice, they're not as deep as they could be. A natural ear, if you feel your ear has a real deep divot, but I'm doing this for two reasons. One, it's the back of the sculpt, which to me, the back of the sculpt is as important as the front of the sculpt. With that being said, it's lending itself to the molding process, because what's going to happen is this is going to be a glove mold, so I'll just peel it off the back, and undercuts will cause problems even for the glove molds and stuff. So I'm really taking that into consideration of you know, the ears and demolding, because those are usually the very first things to break. For the most part, I can get my sculptures to pull without, you know, busting an ear off, but once in a while it happens. So I like this ear, and like I've stated in past videos, I always start on my right, their left, and I start and I work my way all the way around, and then by the time that it gets to this ear, I may be not as enthusiastic about it, or you know, trying to mirror, you know, an ear, you know, symmetrical wise and detail wise is kind of a challenge. You know, it's that endurance that you're putting into this thing. You know, how long can you hold out on a piece? So let's go ahead and, just for fun, let's jump over here to the wide camera view. Let everybody see it from this angle. Not much more to be said on this side of the face, really. It's looking pretty good. There's a couple little details I can hit up in this area here that I might go back over with my rake. And I want to make this ear a little more deep and defined to match this side. I really like this ear, and then of course this ear is not quite up to speed as for what I'd like to see it at. So it's funny, I did a video, I think I talked about this, I did a video on sculpting an ear, and I did it in the time lapse, and that was a really popular video. And so what I may end up doing is actually shooting a video, you know, a lot like this, where I'm talking about the ear as I'm sculpting it, and just giving you my thoughts on it. Maybe that'll work. I don't know. We'll see. This is going to be a piece that I'm going to be needing to use my airbrush on to do the modeling. There's going to be a lot of little modeling going on, and bruising and the such. So a lot of the times I'll use a makeup sponge, and I'll tear the makeup sponge into little pieces ripped off, so it makes a real inconsistent surface, and then I can get my watered down paints and dab it and rotate it as I go, and then that also will simulate that modeled airbrush look. It's obviously not the same, but it's for smaller scale pieces without having to break out this airbrush for these little guys is pretty nice when you don't have to do that. So lots of little maneuvering around this thing. Always moving, always moving. So that is one area that I see that I'm not liking, is this little tiny spot right there. It just doesn't quite have that blended feel. It looks like I just slammed a chunk of clay on there and moved along without blending, because that's probably what I did. So it's little things like that. If you suffer from, you know, OCD or ADD or one of those triple or quadruple initialed conditions, this could be a real challenge. All over the board, all over the board. Yeah, there we go. Let's blend it a little better now. Come back in with this fine tune one here. Yeah. We will hit that with this lighter fluid. And then hit it with the sponge. And you can even get a little more aggressive when you've got your lighter fluid on here and then your clay is softened. You can actually take and press, and the harder you press, being careful of course not to smash your details, but the harder you press and the more lighter fluid, the rougher the texture. So that's something to keep in mind for beginning sculptors, that you can fine-tune that by just repeatedly pressing it in there and putting some pressure on it, turning up the heat, if you will. I'm gonna get my sponge a little wet here with this lighter fluid, and I'm gonna just kind of go over this ear. Ears don't really have that much texture to them, but this is a zombie and he's rotting right before our very eyes, so I can get away with that. I should just do zombies for everything. Yeah, and that kind of just blends and ties everything together. So, and that's a happy ear, as Bob Ross would say. That's a happy ear. So I'm seeing a couple little areas back there that I could fine tune and finesse with my rake, just to knock these things down. Yeah, see, smooth that out. So much to cover. All right, well, there is our timer. I think this is our third video now, I want to say. Yeah, we've made some progress for 3 videos. Probably not as much as I would like to see, but I'm really hard on myself that way, I guess. But yeah, so I figure I'll probably just make maybe a few more of these videos, put in an hour's worth of time, build up a small library of these videos, and so I'll just keep cranking away on them. So a lot of it now is just kind of that, like I said, that fine-tuning and that finessing, and that's just what eats up a lot of time. So, and it may be kind of boring to people because they're not seeing the full thing come to fruition and at the early stages. And of course I didn't have my cameras and all that good stuff when I was doing this with the multi-camera and the Twitch layout, you know, the XSplit and all that good stuff. So but you know what, que sera sera, whatever will be. But the good news is that I do have those things now, so I'll just kind of keep making videos and just kind of start posting them out as they move along. So anyway, thank you guys so much for checking this video out. I really appreciate it. You can also check me out on Instagram at Toby Wayne Studios there. Also on the Toby Wayne Show on twitch.tv. Yeah, I'm really an easy guy to get a hold of. So feel free to get a hold of me, leave a comment, do whatever you feel like. Don't say a word. That's all good. I understand. So anyway, you guys are awesome. Thank you guys so much for checking this video out, and I'll see you in the next video.